frequency involves all those 9 sets in one session, while a 3 times per week frequency splits those 9 sets across 3 sessions. Keeping the total weekly sets equated is important since we're trying to isolate the effects of frequency. Another critical thing is most studies had all subjects perform their sets to or very close to failure within a rep range. Loads are usually adjusted within and across training sessions to keep reaching failure within that rep range. This is important. With our example of performing 9 sets for the biceps all in one session, you can imagine fatigue will notably build up such that those later sets are going to likely be using much lighter loads to reach failure in, say, the 8 to 12 rep range. Conversely, splitting those 9 sets across 3 sessions involves fresher sets. We want to see if this leads to higher frequency producing better results. The final thing we must know before revealing the results is the researchers examined if there was a superior method for counting training frequency. This sounds confusing. If you watched our previous volume video, this is similar to what they did here, but let's see how it applies to training frequency. First, we need to know the difference between a direct and indirect set. A direct set for a muscle is a set on an exercise where that muscle is the primary force generator. Think of the biceps in any biceps curl, the triceps in any triceps extension, and the chest in most bench pressing exercises. An indirect set for a muscle, however, is a set on an exercise where although that muscle is still fairly trained, it's not the primary force generator. This could be the biceps in any rowing exercise and the triceps in a wider grip bench press. Not everyone will agree on what should be a direct and indirect set for each muscle, but here's a table showing what the authors considered as direct and indirect sets for each muscle. These are the exercises and muscles involved in the data. That's why not every muscle and exercise is shown. The first method, the total method, considers both direct and indirect sets equally. For example, if we train a row on Monday and a biceps curl on Thursday, this is a frequency of 2 times per week for the biceps. The second method, the fractional method, considers indirect sets as half the frequency of direct sets. With our example of rows on Monday and curls on Thursday, this is a frequency of 1.5 times for the biceps. The final method, the direct method, doesn't even consider indirect sets. So with our example, it would just be a once per week frequency for the biceps. The researchers ultimately found that the fractional method performed the best in explaining the data, with the evidence being strongly or very strongly in favor of this method. This is logical. Indirect sets aren't as effective as direct